Hi, Janet, JDK Counseling. I hope you're all hanging in there and doing okay. I want to talk to you about shooting on ourselves during the holidays and also saying no. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, the New Year are all approaching fast, and we're in the thick of preparations for all of those. And of course, preparations are very different this year. And all of us have expectations about how we move through this time, what should happen, what we normally do. We learn those customs from our families. We've created traditions of our own with our spouse, with our partner, with our friends, whoever it is. We all have ideas about how the holidays should go, what kinds of food we're going to eat, how and where we're going to gather, how we might exchange gifts if that's part of a tradition, how we'll observe secular or sacred aspects of the holidays, how we'll spend time, money, all those kinds of things. And all those issues and questions can be more raw during the holidays because of we're also more emotionally vulnerable because under the best of circumstances, a year has brought changes. Maybe there's been disagreements in families, or there's been losses of some kind, or big changes. Maybe there's new family members. And this year, those things are more pointed for us, and particularly because we're not going to be able to observe whatever holidays we celebrate in the way we customarily celebrate them. And that's another loss on top of this season of joy and light and all of those things that are also clearly there. So it's going to be a season of experiencing both and sometimes that's hard for us to hold in tension. But what I also want to let you know is that setting boundaries and saying no is really important during this time. When we're emotionally vulnerable, sometimes it's harder to say no and to set boundaries. And no is indeed a complete sentence. So, whatever choices you are going to be asked to make this holiday season, know that you do have a choice about those things. Trust what your instincts are saying about whether it's something you really want to do, people you want to be with, how you spend your time, food you eat, money, how much you drink, all those kinds of things. Trust your instincts about those. Pay attention to, am I trying to really just relieve some discomfort here? Because it would be easier to say yes. I would avoid conflict. If I eat or drink something, I'm really just going to numb some pain here, but really not just change the situation. So pay attention to what's happening inside of you and recognize that we have a choice about whether we will say yes or no. And if we say no, or when we say no to certain things, we're also going to maybe risk a snarky response from somebody. And what's sometimes hard to realize and hard to tolerate is that we don't have a responsibility for another person's response. If somebody is snarky or angry because we've set an appropriate boundary for ourselves, that's their issue. It's not ours. All we can be responsible for is our choice and our yes and our no. Some ways, polite ways to say no are simply, that's not going to work for me right now. That's not going to work for us or for my family. Another is, thanks for thinking of me or us or my family, but we can't this time around. Another one could be, that really sounds like a lot of fun. It could be a lot of fun, but it's just not going to work for us right now. And sometimes people will push and get you to try and justify, well, why can't you do this? And you did it last year, or, let's just go ahead, sort of full speed ahead. And we don't have to justify our no's. Sometimes we get into justifying, well, because of this and because of this, or making sort of half excuses. Try to get yourself out of the trap. Stick to some of these very simple ways to say no, politely but firmly. Thank you, but that's just not just going to work. Not going to work for us this year. I really appreciate your thinking of us, but we just can't. Sounds like it could be fun, but this time around, it's not just going to work. You could also Google like 10 ways to politely say no. There's lots of other ideas. But the important thing is recognize what your boundaries are, practice, choose and practice one or two of these phrases so that you're comfortable saying no when the time comes. And then stick to your no. Setting boundaries during the holidays is okay. Take good care. If you need some help and coaching, I'm available, jan@therapysecure.com. Pass this on to anyone who might find it helpful. Take good care, everyone.